And this is very important in reference to history of family and documents of identity and the crimes of government trying to brand on people's teeth and trying to write their names on people's teeth with satellites, the government damaging people's teeth, trying to mark them as criminals, trying to mark them as shady people, damaging beauty, damaging health of the look of people's teeth. U.S. government has to get charged for that crime. I'm copyrighted in reference to who I am and who my parents are and my DNA type and my family history. These government people need to get prosecuted for their illegal branding. You ever seen the history of poachers or the history of people trying to steal things and then trying to put their name on somebody else's body? You ever seen shit like that? You ever seen government people trying to steal the identity of a person or trying to steal a person's child? Look at the history and the documents and the police reports that my mother and father made back in the 60s or 70s or 80s and 90s, or, and the companies that have made court cases against these people. And even when I was young, back when my father was alive and my mother was alive, the history of these people trying to kidnap me from my mother and father, and the police reports. Some of these people are the same people, and they're from the same families of psychos that had kidnapped me before. People that had tried to kidnap me when my parents was alive. Look at the history of these people trying to mark on things, trying to put their stink on things, claiming they were the owner of other people's lives in America. These government people need to get prosecuted for treason. None of these politicians was richer than my parents. None of these politicians owned more land than my parents. There is not even one person that has ever been in the American government that ever owned more land than my grandfathers or my mother and father. None of them have ever been richer or employed more people in America than my grandparents and my mother and father. These thieves are violating the laws. And my mother and father's companies always ran at a capacity level. So in reference to government and their accusations about businesses or corporations, they're violating the safety guidelines, and their activities of trying to steal companies, or them criticizing the rich and famous, or them criticizing people of wealth, when there is federal guidelines in reference to employment capacities. And these people trying to hold me hostage in a lower class while they're ripping off my mother and father's estates and companies is treason. And these are some of the people that murdered my parents. My parents was frozen when they died, when they got murdered. And they'll probably come back to life. But do you understand? These political regimes of accusators accusating against American corporations, when American corporations are following the employment guidelines of capacity and number of people that are employed. And in reference to my mother and father's companies, people was paid wages that are competitive, that are compared to the facts of guidelines of what the American guidelines are. These people are thieves that are playing these games of abuse. These people are criminals that are trying to steal my identity. No, I didn't receive any of the driver's license from any of the cities and states. So some cities was trying to send me a driver's license that had my mother and father's address on it in another city and state in reference to one of my mother or father's mansions, but I have not received it. And if any other city and state had purchased a house for me in another city and state, I didn't receive that driver's license if you had sent me one. Sometimes people have tried to set up ways of me moving to another city and state because they know I'm being abused here and my human rights have been violated every second of every single day since they kidnapped me from my mother and father's mansions. I have not received any monies from the Indiana government. I've had my unemployment, but that ran out. I don't have the PEUC on there yet. There's not any to-do vouchers on there either. These people are trying to cover up all the abuses and lawsuits that the government owes me in reference to the abuses that they have done. There's always the lawsuits. They're burning my tailbone right now. Where's the lawsuit money from yesterday when these satellite controllers was hitting me in the teeth and face? They've been doing it every day. Where's the lawsuit monies in reference to them burning my groin and my tailbone? That's lawsuits every day. You are aware of that, right, American government? People are not supposed to have to live their life under some psycho man burning them with a satellite. That's un-American, and that is criminal. And these people need to get prosecuted. But, in reference to other cities and states that have tried to set up things, or, I don't know if Century 21 tried to set up anything, or Remax, or any of them, if they'd spoke to any celebrities or entertainers that might have been holding on to monies from my mother, or the companies or anything, I've not received nothing at all. The only thing I receive in the postal mail are flyers and utility bills. And sometimes they send some other flyer of somebody else advertising their self or something. And sometimes I get a magazine in the postal mail, but, like a Men's Health magazine. Men's Health magazine needs to file charges against these people for violating my health, violating my anatomy. These people have been beating me up with satellites, man. It's microwaves and illegal surveillance. My father got murdered from satellite. I had injuries from them burning my father when I was a little boy because I was getting burnt from satellite when I was a little boy. When the Nazi party was trying to steal my mother and father's estates even when I was little. I have not even received any penny of any, not even a red fucking cent of any compensation or reference to this hostage situation or from any of the abuses either. It is a no compliance violation against government. And it is endangerment every second of every single day when I don't have a certain amount of money from the Treasury or from my mother and father's estates. And there's guidelines and procedures in prosecuting. This is a total violation of American government. They kidnapped me from California. Want to see how many court cases California has had against Indiana. And my parents own businesses in all 50 states. So we need to see what the history of court cases have been in Indiana against these people that are holding me hostage in Indiana. If there's not a whole list of every business day, lawsuits and court cases against these satellite controllers and against these government people and their police brutality crimes and their sex crimes and sex violence and mutilation, it's a violation of procedures of law. This is a clear and present danger situation of these satellite controllers injuring me and causing damage on my body, and them branding and them trying to shorten my tailbone. Who the hell are you to shorten somebody's tailbone? They'll say, oh, they thought your ass was too round. I'm a bicycle rider. I'm an Olympic athlete. I'm supposed to have a contract from the NFL, but I didn't receive it in the postal mail. I'm an athlete. I'm a bodybuilder too. I've been a sports athlete my whole life. My father was one